Hey there guys, Dude the Dutch here with some more League of Legends. I decided to go along with it again. I've been doing it a lot these days, especially since I'm building up for a new team with a friend of mine for ranked play. So I decided I'm going to commit myself now to top lane, which you are going to see with this game. This one is an interesting one because we won this surprisingly, actually. Let's just look at this. That's too high. Actually, it's just fine. So our team composition comprises of me being pre-made once again with my good friend Never Try Again, who's playing Varus, AD carry of course. I play the awesome Aatrox on top lane. Then we have a Karthus mid lane, a Zed jungle, and a Zyra support. Unfortunately, this team was not entirely. Not everything went according to agreement, and well, things are not going to go well entirely. Especially for me, considering I need to face off against Riven, who is an absolute horror to face against. So, what do we start? So, their team comprises, of course, of a Zac jungle, Morgana mid, and then a Janna Graves bot lane. Of course, their Janna is comprised of a forecast Janna skin, which is, of course, hilarious as heck. So, nobody died there. Everybody's just pinging to get to their positions. So I'll just speed this a little bit along. Nothing really particularly interesting happens here. I don't understand exactly why Janna recalled there. Just to pick up an extra ward apparently. So everybody's just preparing. Zac for some reason is starting as blue, maybe to get some cooldown reduction I guess. So I'm just speeding this up because really nothing special happens here. So, same thing here. Everybody's just getting their blues, and this is when things. I'll start slowing it down now. Well, I've been having Aatrox for a while now, and I think it's about time I kind of explain how I play. Now, Aatrox, of course, was a newer champion that was added lately. He came just before Lucian. So, Aatrox's most unique, most unique thing is isn't exactly as passive, but he does play in a very interesting way. He has three abilities called Dark Flight, Blood Price, and Blood Well. Blades of Torment and his ultimate called Massacre. His first ability, Dark Flight, he actually does since he has no mana, he actually uses his own health for his abilities. But every time when he does that, he stores a portion of that health that he just used to use his abilities into that Blood Well, which is that little red bar below his health bar, which then of course increases his attack speed as well. This attack speed actually becomes higher because you get higher units of the well, basically, yeah, you get higher amounts of units that you can store up into that blood well, so attack speed becomes higher the further in level. So you could kind of say when it comes to his power, Aatrox is kind of like a late game, which he kind of is. So I'll start explaining how to play him. This was before I actually found a really good build for him, both in items and how to rank up his abilities. So Dark Flight, he lifts up into the air, then crashes to the ground at a nearby location. Anyone in a large vicinity gets damaged, but those who are also close to his impact location are also healed. Or healed, yeah, sure. Are unfortunately knocked up. So we just lost our unfortunate Zed player who thought he could do everything on his own. Didn't end well for him. So I went back to quickly pick up my Vampiric Scepter because I opened up with a longsword and some potions. So his next ability is called Blood Price and Blood First. When it's toggled on, Blood Price causes that he does bonus damage with every third basic. Let me make this clear: this is third basic, and this isn't like the remade Master Yi. So this is not on consecutive. This is standing. This will keep going along. So I just got a little bit, fortunately, horrified. Fortunately, I didn't notice that I had my Blood Price on. So when toggled on, like I said, Blood Price does that damage. So meanwhile, bot lane is having a bit of a similar exchange. So let's get back to it. So Blood Price, when it's toggled off, you have Blood First on, which causes that every third basic attack actually regains you health. This health regain is of course increased by 200% when Aatrox is below half HP, which makes him an incredibly durable tanky character when it comes to his offensive skills. So I was getting my ass kicked here, and I thought I could do something. Unfortunately, RZ is not a very competent figure. Now my passive has been used up, my blood was completely empty, so my attack speed has been reduced to a crawl. So I need to start building that up again, which I do quite a bit. I need to be careful, so I start using Blades of Torment for that, which we will come to next. So what does Blades of Torment do? It's a skill shot that, unlike the others, instead of it widening out the further it gets, it actually becomes smaller. So you need to really know how to target it properly, so you can't just easily do it. So Zach thinks he can prepare because I'm going to push, but I'm not an idiot because I can expect something like that. So I just decided to recall. Zach notices and leaves. So what is Aatrox's ultimate? Aatrox's ultimate is it's called Massacre. When he uses it, he immediately deals magic damage to everyone around. Afterwards, he gains increased attack speed and attack range. Kinda similar to what you can do when you evolve Kha'Zix's blades. But this extension is a lot further. He basically becomes like a medium ranged kind of attacker. He then becomes very, very deadly. This isn't just... You really need to know how to time it. I wouldn't prefer to time it after you just popped, after your passive just popped. Again, Karthus is being an absolute dumbass, which I will get to later. I'm just giving the quick rundown on Aatrox. Now, as you can notice, I'm using Blood Price right now in order to start stacking up my blood well. Sorry guys for that little interruption, but there was a reason for that. So, what was I talking about? I think it was pretty much about how, well, Zed just tried to take the blue on his own. And, well, their blue on his own. So, they do get Zac. So, it turned out a bit well. Don't understand Karthus' idea for using his ultimate right there. But, this guy makes quite a few dumb decisions throughout the entirety of the game. How we win this was a miracle all of itself. So, like I said, how I play is not very important. So, it's more about how this game turned out, and that playing it just right might just give you that edge, and it might just give you that moment, that brief moment that you just steamroll away everyone in the team of their team, and then those that remain are the ones who can then push all the way up to the Nexus and wreck the damn thing. So, for some reason, I don't know if Zed's gonna give it away. We're about to figure out. Another thing that kind of bothers me is why the hell does this guy... So Zac just took their blue, which is not... How they figured it out was beyond me, but this doesn't turn out well for Zed, as you can expect. Considering that... Now Karthus thinks he can go and engage this stupid choice, considering he barely has any mana, which he doesn't. Now, Zac just got a refresh on his blue. Karthus is pretty much out of mana, while Morgana is pretty much bathing in it. So Karthus is not in a good spot here. I'm not doing so well myself, to be honest, considering I need to face off against, well, Riven. I've always had kind of a hatred, well, I wouldn't say hatred, but a certain degree of annoyance out of her, considering how she plays. And unfortunately, I didn't understand exactly how to make the full potential out of Aatrox's abilities to play aggressive. Now, we just lost Zyra. Zyra was able to get the kill on Janna for that, so it kind of worked out. My friend Varys is already on a BF sword, so he's on an advantage over Graves at the moment. Could be possible that Graves is also going for a Blade of the Ruined King, which is just kind of odd because Graves is a high damaged, but is a high damage carry, but more on the basis of a more burst damage. He's not meant for long sustained fights, though he can in a certain degree do it. You don't build this guy with attack speed in mind. It's not how you play him. Because his entire idea is basically buckshot if you have to quick draw and then the ultimate. It's really about that spontaneous amount of damage you can deal rather than making it into a sustained fight. That's very different from Aatrox, for example, who is not meant for burst damage. Riven is kind of on both fronts with this matter, considering her ability. She, of course, has Broken Wings, which is what she just did right there. Key Burst. Well, Valor, and, of course, her ultimate, which is an absolute horror to face off against. So, as you can see, I'm building up quite well for attack speed. So, why attack speed of all things? Because Blade of the Ruined King is actually one of the essentials in this build. No matter how you build Aatrox, Blade of the Ruined King is almost a requirement. Lifesteal by itself is just a requirement if you want to make full potential of Blood Price. Because, well, you could maybe rely entirely on Blood first, but doing it properly, you can actually rely on Blood Price as well for a high amount of damage, which you can use early game. So, to be honest though, our Karthus is not that good. We're going to see a lot of lack of prioritization with him. He's makes some very weird decisions. Janna just got killed. Varys gets that kill, so that was a good pickup on bot lane. I, on the other hand, really have a hard time against this Riven. This Riven's really good. Karthus, for some reason, keeps screwing up against Morgana. Kind of understandable. Karthus isn't that fast, neither is he very tough, and with that good amount of damage that Morgana can pull out, it's kind of understandable. Another thing that Karthus kind of makes a mistake is in that he's very farmed focused, this guy. He constantly sees... when team fights sometimes are hitting, or at least, for example, 2v2, and he is like... For example, if it was fighting here and he's busy farming here, instead of coming helping fight this battle here, he continues to farm here. I don't know, I can't remember if that exactly happened, but he does that in those kind of scenarios. He doesn't prioritize what he thinks is more important. He kind of best said he's focusing more on end game, on the late game, making sure that he's the one and who's going to be carrying this team, which he does not at all. If you ask me, he only gets a couple good helps with that ultimate of him sometimes, but he's not that good. Zyra now has a second kill with that passive, so she's not doing that bad. So, yeah, what can we exactly say about, well, anything about this game? It's a pretty decent game. Unfortunately, this is when things unfortunately go a bit bad for us, which is we decided to go double team on Riven. You might be thinking, hey, we're actually doing this quite well. Unfortunately, we do take too much time with this. And unfortunately, Zac knows this, and he is preparing quite well for an assault. So he slingshots himself over the wall, and is preparing for that again from here. So we're just trying to tear apart Riven. That doesn't end well. My Bloodwell gets popped. I try to get away. Unfortunately, I have no form of escape because my Dark Flight's already been spent. And then, unfortunately, I die. Same thing counts for Zed. He dies. As far as I understand, Riven gets the kill. She did. I remember that now. He actually thinks he can take her on. That was not the smart move to make. So, basically, Riven's getting fed. Partially, Karthus and the other two, Zyra and Zed, for some reason blame me for that. So that ultimate use of Janna was done quite well. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And Varys escapes by the skin of his teeth. Which was done quite well, but... So, the Zyra does one thing good and one thing bad. throughout this entire game. In the beginning, she was fucking up the farms. She was constantly damaging them, causing that Varus was missing on some of his farms, causing, of course, by its very matter that he sometimes missed farms. So they continued to push. Then all of a sudden, Zac shows up. Luckily, he has barriers. Zyra keeps him at a distance. Varus understands to stay away and continues to do damage. Zac is preparing, hoping that Zyra goes in first, or better said, Varus goes. And then, of course, his passive pops. Luckily, Zac dies. And now, this is starting out quite well for them. So Morgana comes in to make another kill out of this, which she unfortunately does. But unfortunately, hey, Morgana gets quite fed because, well, to be honest, this Karthus really is no help at all. I, of course, am also not having a fun time against this Riven, who's just tearing everything apart. I'm just so afraid now to just try and even land a few basics on minions. She is putting a new, to me, she put a new term on the word harassment. Practically to the point that I'm feared for my life to even get close to her. So I basically just stay here, start smacking about on the most minions, and keep doing what I can. So nothing. So this Zed is still. This Zed is just weird and, to be honest, a bit of a dumbass. He's really not that good. So he thinks he now can kill Zed. Unfortunately, he waited too long, and now he still gave Morgana the blue. So indirectly, nothing was achieved here. So as you can see, I'm still doing quite well. I decided to rush the Stinger first for the attack speed, so I can use that my W quicker. So here comes back Riven. I'm still behind in levels. Bot lane was doing quite well considering they already pushed their tower, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're always on the winning hand. It only gives them exactly some more gold. So basically, their bot laners, the blue team's bot laners, stay on the defensive side because they're afraid, of course, now considering Varus is now on 6 kills and 1 death. So he's pretty much in an advantage here. I, on the other hand, am not in the advantage considering the number of farms Riven has compared to me, and then her overall damage and items. I am not doing very well here. I decided to now switch out for the blood price so I can farm quicker, which is abundantly shown here because it does a massive damage. Boom. This makes for a very strong harassment capability that you achieve with him. So I continue to just harass so I just smack about all these minions. Fortunately, things didn't go well for me here because I continued to push and maybe didn't take into consideration that Zac was preparing for something. I see Riven, I try to make my escape. Fortunately, that's when Zac showed up. And considering I have no level 2 boots, I had the flash. Fortunately, I still got enough damage to pop my passive. But unfortunately, Riven's ultimate, after she activates it first, she then gains, of course, her ability called Wind Slash, which allows her to do some pretty nasty amount of damage, which of course, increases in damage. The lower the health of the enemy targets are that you hit with it. So I basically got completely outplayed here. So we do have bot lane, they have a top lane now, so it's still pretty equal. This is when we're trying to take the advantage by getting the mid lane turret. Unfortunately, Varus is having a little bit of an issue. Luckily, he does get away because he stays out of range of that damn dark binding. Morgana is not fast enough to keep up with him. He unfortunately now gets snared. She activates the ultimate, and bam, she got him. It's an unfortunate thing to happen, but these things can happen. Now, of course, Karthus, like I said, is just an absolute piece of garbage in this game. The champion itself is great. This guy just doesn't understand that he maybe should help a little bit out more with the team fights, considering the amount of damage Karthus can dish out. Because hey, it's Karthus. Fortunately, that was a smart move from, of course, Morgana, putting that spell shield on Riven, making her immune to any form of magic damage for a little bit, as well as, of course, to spell effects. So Zac just killed Zac again. Zac just killed Zed again. That's what I wanted to say. There's too many Z's in this game, so I get the confusions quite quick. So I'm still trying to get that top lane because I'm trying to get some equal footing here. Unfortunately, that's not the case, considering I just can't get to that damn thing. Every time I try, Riven gets the upper hand. And I cannot take the risk of staying because I might not even get the turret, and she does get me. So I decided to then, of course, you need to understand that I'm quite devoted to my top lane when it comes to trying to take it down. I always think that getting the first turret always kind of works like first blood. It gives you the advantage immediately because then the other lane, then the person from those lanes can go to another lane. Of course, this works both ways. So this is excuse me, sorry, I don't know all of a sudden where that came from. I thought I slept and ate enough. Fortunately, this is when Zyra gets pulled out of position, and she dies. Or maybe not. I can't remember. Hey, come on. You can't expect me to remember everything. So Zac is still trying to get within range, which he does. So he does kill her. That's an unfortunate matter, but these things happen. Now, I don't understand. We'll just show that more in detail again. So Zyra tried to get away. Boom. She just got killed. I have no idea what Zed was trying to achieve here. He really thought he could do something here, and it turned out that he was just giving a kill away. So at the same time, I decided, well, there's no way we're going to be able to save that mid lane. So I might as well make it an exchange. I grab their top lane turret, they grab our mid lane. They may now have a turret more than us, but it could have been 2 if I didn't continue to push. So I quickly then teleport to mid lane just in case for the defense, because I was in no way planning to just jump in there and do what I can, because that would pretty much just kill me instantly. So the most important thing right now was what I considered was just defending, which we did quite well. Now Zyra got a little ambitious here, so does Zed, if you ask me. Now we don't have a vision ward or an oracle, so we can't remove that ward. So we're just trying to get for that mid lane turret. Problem is, we do have a Karthus that, like I said before, prioritized it more to go and grab some farms. He does this constantly. He goes for wolves, he goes for bot lane minions. He does this a lot, and it's kind of a stupid move to make because his damage output is something we could really use in those fights. So unfortunately, this is when Zac decided to go in. He kills, of course, Zyra. Paris was now also caught up position. I unfortunately didn't trust a damn thing about that fight, so I just made myself scarce. So that barely just how I survived that. I still didn't figure it out. I just was lucky, I guess. It would have popped my I would have lived because of my passive, but it would have popped my passive, which is, to be honest, kind of a waste because that could still have been useful for team fights, which it does. It's particularly useful in team fights because you can just fly in, they might even throw the ignite on you, and you're down. Then all of a sudden, they can't do anything. Because that's a lot of mistake I've seen a lot of players make against when they're fighting against Aatrox, both me and when I am Aatrox, is when all of a sudden in the fight, and you know they got the blood well, he's got the blood well, and all of a sudden they pop their ignite. So as soon as that, you need to understand, as soon as his blood well activates, he becomes in his form of stasis. Any forms of debuffs or anything that he had on him are immediately removed, which means that even Ignite is gone. So whatever damage output you're planning to make with Ignite is gone. So I decided to go and smack about this little purple dude over here, which I did quite well, which finally first delivered my first kill after 3 deaths in a row, which I was kinda happy with. So now these 3 were, of course, trying to push the midline. Excuse me for the yawning once again. Why do I always get this when I talk about these things? I don't know. Maybe I need to drink some more coffee. Maybe that'll help. Just get some energy drink or coffee in here. So, we want to do dragon. Now, of course, first the blue grabbing is also important. Varus is still on mid. So, this sparks kind of a fight at dragon. But considering, of course, the amount of man, unfortunately, they warded it, so they saw them coming. And this then results in boom. That's just 3 kill. That's just 2 kills they just picked up there. That was a very bad choice to make. They should have first taken a vision ward with them to know if there were any wards in the area, which they didn't. Now Zed apparently had some comment about what Riven did, and Riven replied that a kill is a kill. And although Flash has always been considered more of an escape tool, it can also be used as chasing when used properly. So, so how does this continue? This game drags on for quite a bit, I have to admit, but we do end up with quite a turnaround. So, here again, we don't understand what Karthus was trying to achieve here. He's pretty much going to get his ass kicked if he isn't careful. Luckily, there is some help, of course, in the form of us. Zac does grab a kill. Don't get me wrong. The way that this guy uses Zed is quite good. He picks up the kills quite nicely. And it's not really necessarily kill stealing. But the problem that I have with him is the mentality that he believes that he can take on the entire team on his own. He makes a lot of mistakes that he just goes in and he goes YOLO Rambo against 3 guys. Because he thinks he can survive that for some reason. That's just stupid, and it gets him killed in the long run. Why he decided to check up on Baron is beyond Dragon is beyond me, because he knew that he was never going to survive. So he's just trying to get rid of Morgana. Unfortunately, he couldn't. Fortunately, Morgana's also just buying time. And here comes in Riven, and now pretty much Varus is screwed because he doesn't have that damage output, neither. He doesn't have that damage output, and Riven is fed like fuck. So, I could have done something there. But I decided not to because I know I can't stand up to her one-on-one. So I thought, fuck this, I'm just moving away. I'm not taking that chance, which, to be honest, was the better choice of the matter. So to be honest, Zyra once again makes a near end escape. I luckily do pick up a kill here. Unfortunately, I'm a bit disappointed that Zyra got the kill for it. But hey, these things can happen. I hope to make an escape. Fortunately, I get killed halfway through my flight. My flight was cut short. Fortunately, Karthus, considering he already used his Wall of Pain and has no other form of health, he pretty much gets killed over. Why he uses his ultimate is beyond me, because there was just no way he was going to kill anybody with it. Here comes in, of course, Zed. He just didn't have enough damage to take down Janna. Why you would focus Janna is understandable, because she's the most squishy of the group, of those 3. So Graves is building up for what is still considered a very strange. As you can see, he's got a Blade of the Ruined King, he's got a Zeal, and a Dagger. Now, to be honest, this is considered quite weird because, like I said, Graves is burst damage. You're not really going to be focusing a lot on his attack speed. He does have strong basics, but his entire design is really just for this burst damage. I mean, his dash costs it, and afterwards he gains he gains quite an increase on his attack speed. His buckshot is, well, it's not very spammable. It's It's similar to kind of like similar to, in a way, let's say. Damn it, I can't get out of my words anymore. Fuck my brain. My brain does this a lot. It screws me over. I finally found it. Basically, he Graves' buckshot is a is a thinner version of what of course Twisted Fate has with his wild cards. So we're still facing here. Fortunately, it doesn't turn out well for us, and we all get horribly murdered. And Riven tore everything to pieces and is doing quite well here. She was really good in this game. We honored her at the end of this game. But you might be surprised at what's going to happen. Now, Zed, of course, is telling that Riven got completely fed. Indirectly, he's saying this is all Aatrox's fault for screwing over top lane. Riven is replying with a very sarcastic mention of, how am I fed? I didn't get that many kills. She's now up to, for example, 13 kills. So, she's pretty much, well, made half the kills of their team. So here comes in Zed, thinks he can do something. He tries to kill him. So he's hoping to get Zac, which he does. Unfortunately, Zyra now has a bit of a problem. Luckily, we are able to make something out of this. So he does pick up a triple kill. That's impressive, but still, Zed makes a lot of moves in this game that just weren't very smart. Karthus, for example, you see, Varus didn't have his best farming days on that bot lane. He's trying to get rid of Karthus, which refuses to leave because he's a greedy little bastard who thinks he deserves all these farms. He's pretty much kind of like a top lane insta-locker. He has the cognitive capacity of an infant. He wants to do Baron now. That is just stupid because we are in no condition to do Baron. They still have their Riven. Zac's back up, so if he has Smite, we're pretty much screwed. He does have Smite, so that's just stupid. Another thing that's a bit weird is the consideration that what the hell is Karthus doing there? One thing about someone like Karthus is never walk alone. Karthus has a lot of damage, but one thing he doesn't have is a very durable state. He's not tanky. He doesn't have any form of escape. The nearest thing he comes to an escape is his Wall of Pain, and that's just a slow. It's not even a slow he can direct. He places it literally places a wall on the ground that slows enemies. So he thinks he's got this, and then all of a sudden, hey, Riven showed up, and he's going to die to an Ignite. So he plays a Wall of Pain for completely no reason at all. We knew we weren't going to get out. Unfortunately, Zac flashed, used his ultimate, and killed him. So there's not much I can do here either because I don't have the kind of crowd control to really take her down. Neither do I have that sort of capability of taking on 3 guys on my own. As much as Aatrox is kind of tanky when he starts attacking, he's not that tanky. He does it. He's a badass, though. I won't deny that. So basically, what he's trying to do, which he did succeed, was Zed was trying to get himself executed, rather die to the turret, and that getting all the fame, rather than, of course, giving it to one of the enemy players. So I'm building up that lovely blood well of mine again because I have my blood well ready, which is of course the cheat death mechanic that is becoming quite popular these days with the new champions. I mean, come on, we've had quite a few. There's now already 3 I can mention that I know right now that have that, which is Anivia, Zac, and now Aatrox. And I have a feeling neither of them are going to be the last. So we're not sure what to do. Now, Zac is just preparing here. So unfortunately, Varus gets a bit caught out of position considering Riven was in the area. This didn't turn out well for us. My blood will gets popped, and I'm pretty much screwed because I can't make the escape here. So that's not ending well for us. We can't stop them. Or better said, these guys can't stop them because we didn't know these guys. These are not pre-mates of ours. So that didn't work out well. So they're trying to kill Riven, which they did succeed. Here comes Morgana with the ultimate. Everybody survives except, of course, dumbass Karthus. Morgana, being the extremely annoying bitch that she is, refused to allow Karthus to have that kill because Karthus doesn't deserve kills because he's an absolute dumbass and can't do anything properly. That wasn't the smartest move, of course, of Graves. He was far too low health, and he wasn't able to get the target down. Fortunately, of course, Zyra did get the kill, but these things do happen. I continue now to push top lane because I needed to get rid of these farms. As you can see, I'm building up quite well, and I'm building up for some more defensive style because that's actually kind of thing that you need against certain champions. If you're facing off against a champion that is more for sustained fight, for more durable fights, for example, I guess AD carries are a good example, but like Varus, but there are the types of melee champions or like this who don't have this high amount of burst damage. Aatrox can easily keep himself alive by having his lifesteal and his excuse me, Jesus, I don't know what's wrong with me. He can keep himself alive via lifesteal as well as, of course, with his blood first. Now Zax's here doing the Baron. They will succeed as far as I can remember. They did get this Baron because they have insane damage output. They're warding it. We had no idea they were doing this. I decided to go and check. I didn't decide to go and check up on it. The rest of them show up so they can do it quicker. Now I decided to check up. Fortunately, they saw me. I did get the damn tornado as well as that slow, but I got out of it alive. Fortunately, now these guys have Baron, and we just lost Zed. So he barely did any damage there. For some reason, Karthus thought he could do something. That didn't turn out so well for him. Also, another thing about this Zac is that he barely ever picks up those globules of his. So, while these guys were, of course, trying to bash down the inhibitor on our mid lane, our AD carry was pushing quite well over mid lane and decided to go rip apart their inhibitor. So, I left behind to stay as a guardian against him, trying to tear through both the turrets. At the moment they couldn't because they didn't have any minions, and the first wave will be quite a long ways considering Varus was still trying to get rid of those. I do get a little lockdown. I do get out of here alive and live to fight another day. Varus is doing the best he can. He avoids a few things quite nicely and keeps himself, of course, like I said, alive. Zed goes in. He is able to kill Janna. Not a very hard thing to do, to be honest. Zac was the target number 2. He still has his passive. Varus was nice to give me the kill, so I picked up that one. So now I'm finally on 3 kills. Here comes the fight with Riven. I killed that little lad bitch as well. And now, of course, Karthus is still trying to fight Morgana. Unfortunately, Morgana makes an escape. I decided not to chase because I'd rather keep a bit on the defensive. So Morgana does get away. It's a bit unfortunate, but hey, these things happen. So this just turns and bams and bams. So Riven had quite a kind of respect for Varus, keeping her off at bay long enough to be finished off. So yeah, we just made a good exchange considering there was now no advantage in inhibitor. So both minion forces were now stronger because of the inhibitors on both sides were gone, on the mid lanes at least. So Karthus apparently is a farming monster in this game, supposedly, or at least this guy thinks he's a farming monster, except he's out of mana already, and he wasn't able to save the turret, so he didn't do as good as a job as he thought he did. So Zed made the decision to go in there like some sort of monster because he thinks he can survive everything. That didn't turn out well, and well, I think it's pretty much clear what happened there. As you can see, what Zyra is doing is she is not building for any form of support. She's building for pure kick-ass AP. So now we lost our jungler, which is also a good damage dealer. We try to keep them at bay as long as we can. Karthus, unfortunately, is an impossible figure who can't do anything right and only survived because of Azonia. Maybe that was the point he was going for. I continue to fight. I do live. Barely, but I live. Pretty much my ultimate has been wasted. But here we go. We still got out with more men than they. We killed 2 of theirs. They only lost 1. So Riven's apparently recalling there. We're trying to grab her. Unfortunately, she's just a little too fast for me to keep up with. I refuse to give up though and continue to push on her. Unfortunately, I can't aim for shit and missed my Blades of Torment. Luckily, Karthus does help a little bit with that. He unfortunately gets the kill, to be honest. I was kind of hoping to get it. But of course, this kind of happens. I am just not going to pay attention to what is going on in that chat because it's completely irrelative to what is going on. Apparently there's also Riven is having something against the bot laners. Sid is apparently prepping himself to grab Dragon. If he's got the timer, it's understandable. So this is when I decided to go smack on the turret. Now you might be wondering why I use Blades of Torment while there's nothing in the area to hit. Because I want to stack up my Blood Boil more in order to gain more attack speed. Which is working out quite well considering how many times I stabbed these assholes in the face with it. With that extendable sword. I could make a million puns about how it is. But I won't. So it's kind of a good thing to know these things. So Baron will be up in about less than 1.5 minutes. Once again, Zed gets completely caught out of position. He barely makes the he doesn't make the escape and dies horribly again. We're trying to make something out. They're trying to make something out of it. I decided to just show up just in case. Fortunately, Zac thinks he can escape. He unfortunately can't. And he turns into a little pile of purple goo. Riven's preparing there. I decided to drop myself in, activate that ultimate, and BAM! Killed her. Tried to stay out of that. Avoided it. And boom! Got another kill. Rampage. There we go. See, that ultimate is just one of my favorite things. So now, we could go farming, which those two are trying to do. But I decided, because of course that's done by my friend Varus, I decided there is a much more important thing in this area that needs to be destroyed. Namely, their inhibitor, because then we would gain the advantage with our minions. I slash and slash and slash. Jen is trying to doing everything she can to prevent it from happening. I'm trying to smack as much as I can on this thing. Blue team tried to surrender, failed at that. I got knocked up, but we still got that inhibitor, so we left. I tried to ping as much as to Karthus that he needed to leave as well, because at this point Jaina could lock him down long enough for the rest of them to show up and then tear through him. At the same time, of course, now our minions are stronger, so we have a little bit of advantage on all the fronts. All these minions now stronger, because that's what happens when an inhibitor dies. Not only do you get super creeps, but the other creeps, your other creeps also get stronger because of that. So then we decided to pick up Baron buff because hey, we can, so we will. So we're doing a decent amount of damage here, and of course they were hoping to grab it. I thought it would have been wiser to leave. Unfortunately, we decided to do something better. We fought, and we got our first kill. That's got rid of our of our weather reporter. And here comes it in again. Zed is apparently for some reason the focus here. Now, Carver's got his butt kicked. I decided to go in on one-on-one for the moment with Riven. Then Varus shows up and boom. Got the little bitch. Because Varus becomes quite tough round about now, so... And considering I have random entanglement, it gives me an increase in attack speed, making me even tougher. So now we decided we can go and finish this, because it's going to be a long... The only one who can defend is Morgana, and strong as she is, she's not that strong. We could easily take her down, because there's 4 of us and there's only 1 of them. Earliest to arrive is Janna. She doesn't have any form of good damage output. She has CC, but that's about where it ends. So I'm constantly using the same animation to escape. So I missed that again. I don't do well with that for a long time. So we continue to focus it down, and we succeed in taking at least Janna down. Morgana has been very good at surviving, but unfortunately they didn't have what they needed, and we won. So we won just barely because of a turnaround we were able to pull off. So, boom. And I have no idea what just happened there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.